Ladies and gentlemen, I am the exceedingly average gamer here for Planet Destiny, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at the Bungie developer update, which was just posted for today, January 11th, 2018. The first real informational part of the developer post is a little bit of a clarification on what exactly the differences are between expansions, seasons, and Eververse content. Expansions are going to be content that is purchased by the player. We all know this. It's going to include new campaign missions and strikes, new Crucible maps, new exotic armor and weapons, and things like that. Seasons are a little bit more of an overarching category that includes things like Iron Banner, faction rallies, and seasonal events like the Dawning or Crimson Days like is coming up in about a month. And lastly, Eververse content is mostly customization items like cosmetics and new emotes and things like that. As far as the seasonal events go, it's now confirmed that faction rallies will start again on January 16th, next Tuesday, and Iron Banner will be back in the rotation on January 30th. And now we move on to Eververse, the thing that everybody has been waiting with bated breath for. A lot of the rewards that we would have gotten in Destiny 1 as endgame activity rewards, like exotic ships or exotic sparrows, have been moved into Eververse and are locked behind a paywall, or at least a grind wall. Thankfully, Bungie seems to be acknowledging this. For upcoming seasons, they're going to be shifting the balance of new content to activity rewards over bright engrams. That's step number one. Step number two is that they're going to be providing a gameplay path to earn bright engrams and all the rewards that they contain, rather than just grinding XP. Lastly, they're going to be giving us more direct purchase options for items that are contained in bright engrams. Hopefully this will take the form of the system that we saw in Destiny 1. Sure, it wasn't exactly perfect, but it was a heck of a lot better than the system we have now. This will hopefully allow us to get what we want out of these bright engrams more often. They elaborate on the way they're going to start making all of these changes using Crimson Days, the upcoming event, as an example. Completing the Nightfall, Raid, and Crimson Days milestones during the event will reward you an exclusive legendary emote, weapon skin, and exotic sparrow, respectively. In addition to that, players will earn double engrams at a level up, one Crimson engram and one illuminated or standard bright engram for the duration of the event. Crimson engrams are also going to be dropping from completing the Crimson Days match and from completing the Crimson Days milestone on each character. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly to me, each Crimson engram is going to be very strongly weighted for new items until all the new items have been obtained. We've seen things like this with Overwatch, where Blizzard made changes to where you are less likely to get duplicates until you have all of the new items, and this is something that I have been wanting for a long time. Next is an update on the XP system and Bungie's efforts to kind of fix it and balance it. What they've said is that they do realize that XP is still earned at far too slow of a rate, but the issues that they've been having have been causing the XP rates to be pretty buggy. So they haven't implemented anything for the next major patch, but they are going to still be looking at new angles and will be giving us updates as and when they happen. The next big section is a roadmap for the content and update releases that Bungie is looking at for this year. All of these content updates are going to be available to all Destiny players regardless of whether they own the DLC or not, which is definitely something that I can get behind. Firstly, on January 30th, Masterwork armor is going to be implemented. Basically, it's going to give you damage reduction when you're using your super, as well as allow you to re-roll the armor stat bonuses on each individual Masterwork armor piece. We weren't given any details as to how strong this damage reduction is going to be or whether it stacks, but it's definitely a good thing because it's brand new content that we all get for free. Next up, for the January 30th update, they are going to be reworking the raid rewards so that they are, quote, more unique and interesting. This is going to include raid-specific perks on some of the items that you can get, as well as the vendor directly selling Leviathan and Eater of Worlds armor and weapons with raid tokens. On top of this, a raid-specific ghost is going to be added that has a chance to drop from both the Leviathan and the Eater of Worlds raid that is going to have raid-specific perks. Now, it's still undisclosed exactly what these perks will be, but I would imagine it's going to be something like 10% or 15% increased XP or Glimmer when you're in the raid. That's what I would guess. Next up is a rundown of what we can expect in the February update. Firstly, strike scoring and high score tracking is going to be back in Destiny. In Destiny 1, even though strike scoring didn't really add new content to the game, it gave you some extra replay value for strikes because you were always trying to get the higher score. In Destiny 2, though, there's going to be some rewards tied to high scores. Specifically, in the Nightfall, your high scores will be exposed in-game via new emblems and will unlock rewards. On top of this, Bungie is apparently underway on a full rework of the mod system. They're going to want mods to increase our power, they're going to want to reduce redundancy in the mod system, all of that good stuff, but they really don't have much else to say on exactly what they're working on yet. They say that they're aiming for a February release, but depending on exactly how the work goes and how much they have to rebalance things, it could push the release out into spring. Most importantly to me, however, is the fact that they are actively working to make sure that the mods aren't going to be impacting the Bright engram system, because the last thing they want is a pay-to-win outcome. Smaller changes in the February update include changes to the pacing of quick play in Crucible, PC tower chat, text chat mind you, exotic repetition reduction, so a little bit more of a smart loot system for exotic weapons and armor, and your fireteam members will appear on your destination map wherever you are in the system. Next up, for spring of 2018, Crucible is going to be getting some major changes. Beginning in Season 3, you're going to be having a seasonable Crucible rank, which has two parts to it. Valor is a progression rank that goes up as you complete matches to hopefully deter rage quitters, and Glory is going to be more reflective of a win-loss ratio. It's going to increase with wins and decrease with losses. Next up, private matches are going to be coming to Destiny 2 for all players, regardless of whether or not you own any of the DLC. This was something that was implemented into Destiny 1's Crucible system after a couple of years of game time had already passed, but was for some reason taken out of Destiny 2, so it's a really good thing to see this back. On top of this, 6v6 playlists are going to be making a comeback in Destiny 2's Crucible. In Destiny 1, we had a lot of 6v6 gameplay. In fact, it was most of the games that we played, but Destiny 2 has pretty much stuck with a 4v4 system. And lastly, Mayhem is going to be returning as a limited-time seasonal event in Season 3 and onwards. And some more changes for spring of 2018. Weapons and abilities, including all exotic weapons and armor, are going to be unilaterally rebalanced across the board, dependent on player feedback. No specific changes just yet, but they are going to be giving us a little bit more information when it gets closer to that time. Exotics specifically are something that I really think need to be rebalanced in Destiny 2. Exotics in Destiny 1 felt like they were unlike any other weapon in the game, whereas exotics in Destiny 2 kind of feel like they're a little bit of an improved version of an armor piece or a weapon, but not really incentivized to use over something like a Masterwork when you get one. Next up, vendors are going to be rewarding you for the reputation you gain with each individual vendor for each season. Bungie also says that they're going to be improving the Iron Banner and Faction Rally experience, but didn't really give us any other information other than that. They do say that they're going to be iterating on the changes we'll be seeing in the next events, but other than that, we're pretty much left up to speculation. Something that I'm really excited for is what they're calling playlist repetition reduction, which is hopefully going to decrease the likelihood of, say, playing the Pyramidion Strike 3 or 4 times in a row, which is definitely something that's happened to me, and I have no doubt has happened to a bunch of you guys. Other quality of life changes are coming too, like multi-emote systems, improved vault space, PC clan chat, and modifiers for heroic strikes to give you a little bit more incentive to go and play them again. And last up in the content calendar is fall of this year. Bungie didn't really give us much information specific to this exact time period, but are working on a lot more that they're not quite ready to discuss, as they say. These things include item collections and records, weapon slot and archetype improvements, additional Crucible playlists, better clan rewards, Masterwork exotics, which is definitely something that I have seen a lot of talk about in the community lately, and all kinds of other things that you can go and read in the post yourself. As I said before, next week is going to be the next start of the Faction Rally. It's going to start from Tuesday, January 16th, and it's going to end on Tuesday, January 23rd. And my friends, that just about finishes this week's Bungie Weekly Update and Developer Post. Go ahead and leave your comments down below about what you thought about all this new stuff. Is this going to be enough to get you back into Destiny 2, or are you waiting on more concrete details? If you want to check out my personal channel, which we'll have a link to in the description of this video, I play a lot of different games. I actually just got back from my parents' place over the winter, and I'm going to be back making videos. I've actually got a really long Dark Souls section that I'm working on right now, actually, which will hopefully go up in the next day or so. But until the next video, Guardians, I wish you all well.